Hello and Christmas greetings to you all. I'm Kim Dodsworth, Queensland storyteller, with a marvellous gift for all of us. It's from our wonderful contributor, Maureen Mitson. The story is called An Epiphany. It's one of the best Christmas stories I've heard in a long, long time. So please sit back and enjoy. It was a different sort of Christmas. I'd wanted some time out after a frantic year, so I took leave and fled to the outback farmstay. A couple of weeks later, maybe being Christmas and all that, I felt like some human company. So I drove about 40 k's or so to an old bush church for the midnight service. Shock to the system, never been much of a churchgoer, but on the lonely drive back I had to admit it had all felt a bit special. I sang that carol in my loudest voice, sort of warmed the darkness. OK, so I didn't know all the words, and it was nearly all la 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 la, but oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Saviour's birth. Nice tune, though. I was the only vehicle on the road on the return journey. It really was a back of beyond get my act together place. The starlight was amazing. On impulse, I stopped the car and switched off its lights. What stars! The sky was like an upturned basin of brilliance, stars like you never see from brightly lit towns. All alone in the silent night, I flicked my skirts around and danced on the sand. How I wished I knew more of the astronomy, but one star stood out as the brightest, and I wondered if it was the one that appeared to those three wise men in that first Christmas the priest had talked about. I was still thinking about that legend when I crawled into my bed. Getting on for 4 o'clock it was, soon be light. Hardly closed my eyes when bedlam broke out. Some outdoor animal was bellowing hoarsely, discordantly. Sounded like a donkey, but no donkeys here. Only a goat left for me to feed and some sheep to turn a tap on for now and then. Had to be the goat, a cranky old bearded billy with cold, stripy eyes and an insatiable appetite. Had I forgotten to feed him? I pulled on the rubber boots over my flannelette PJs and opened the front door. I nearly slammed it shut again. Talk of surprise, the dreadful noise was coming from the upthrust throat of a camel. A very little camel with a massive voice. Where has it come from? Alice Springs? Surely not. It's too far away. It saw me and struggled up the little steps to the deck, all spindly legs and knobbly knees. Its eye was friendlier than its breath. Phew! I pushed by, and it followed me out to the stable, where I scooped up some goat pellets and filled a water bucket. It butted my legs impatiently as I did so, then eagerly nosed into the pellets. Good. I retreated indoors to my waiting bed. Sylvester Cat, also belonging to mine hosts, cocked a questioning eyebrow at me from the doona. No, puss, we'll sleep on it and see what happens when we wake up. Nothing did. I'd ring around in the morning. That'd be soon enough. Morning came, and the baby camel had seemed to have made friends with the goat. They rubbed noses and exchanged happy snorts between slurping water and crunching pellets. I returned to my own Christmas day. First, my presents. I put on the Allard Jones Carol CD sent from Mum and Dad in Adelaide. Second, a piping hot cup of fresh coffee. The glorious young Welsh voice washed over me, and I peeked out to see what little camel was up to. Still making friends with the goat. I debated putting it in with Billy the goat in the paddock, but somehow it didn't seem right to constrain a camel. I moved out to the deck, still in rubber boots and PJs, and sat on the bench seat, eating my Vegemite toast and watching the two animals snorting companionably to each other. Camels, animals in a stable. I started thinking about the festivities and the beliefs of Christmas. Next day I phoned the local store and the pub to find out if they knew anything about Little Camel. What a kerfuffle ensued. I'd driven to church on Christmas to seek company, and now, with the camel as the celebrity, people appeared from all over the district. Children were among the most enthusiastic visitors. What does ruminant mean? Do they lie down back legs first or front legs first? Someone called Jenny introduced herself and proved a godsend, bringing a batch of scones with her. It seemed most visitors brought drinks and a plate. It all became quite festive. After some initial irritation, I enjoyed the company, thankfully, as it showed no signs of slowing down in the next 2 or 3 days. I just hoped I'd enough goat pellets to feed the animals. One farming family brought the camel a bale of lucerne, which it shared with the goat. Yet still no one claimed Little Camel, nor ventured a solution. The new year came and went. I rang the Adelaide Zoo to be reassured I was doing everything right. Over the next few days, the Little Camel learned to trust me, letting me stroke its soft, malleable nose when it would appreciatively snort smelly dribble into my palm. It's nearly 2 weeks, I mused to Sylvester the cat. Very busy weeks for one who came here for some time out, and though most brought scones and cakes, I've used up nearly all my tea bags and coffee. Wouldn't you think someone would have missed a camel by now? Then one morning, towards the end of the first week of January, the 6th, I think, and so early the sun was hardly casting its light into my bedroom, I was woken by a veritable cacophony of camels, squeals, and shrieks. I pulled on my boots and opened the front door. A tall figure was about to smite its timbers with his long hooked stick. I stepped back, startled. Sun-stained and leathery-skinned, he wore a dust-streaked turban, carefully entwined, and a fabric draped over the shoulder of his loose blue shirt. Neat moleskins and respectable, well-worn R.M. Williams boots completed his practical attire. He had a full, curling moustache, tangling carelessly with a long grey beard. His dark eyes, beadily intelligent, fixed on me as I peered around the door. Behind, watching haughtily, were 3 massive, fully laden camels. I was totally discombobulated, but managed to stammer some sort of greeting. He gave a little bow, his hand sweeping over his breast in salute, as, with a broad smile, he announced himself. "Mohammed Hassan, ma'am, at your service. We heard my baby camel found you, and I am come to collect her." I recovered quickly. "Oh, I'm so glad. I was getting really worried about what to do for the best." "I think you're a very kind woman, and for what you have done, may Allah protect you." He smiled and inclined his head with an old-fashioned dignity. I realized I was clad only in my crumpled but thankfully modest PJs. Outback hospitality dictated I ask him in for a cuppa, but how could I, dressed this way? He read my mind. "Not to worry, ma'am. Had you invited me to have coffee with you, I could not. My customs do not permit. But I thank you sincerely for being such a good person for my little one. Now she is back, I can continue my journey." Little Camel was already leaping and squealing noisily at seeing her friends. With a dignified bow of his head, the Afghan turned, and with a graceful economy of movement, hooked his crook around the halter of the leading camel. Without a backward glance, the camels plodded away from the homestead in single file, with Little Camel assuming a place alongside the leader. I watched silently as the camels made their way, dustily, yet majestically, into the middle distance and over the crest of the roadway. I felt strangely disorientated, as if I were watching the scene with another's eyes, in another time, watching another camel train of regal travellers on a desert progress. Was it like this on that other, the first Epiphany, like in the priest's sermon on Christmas Eve? This exit was pure cinema, mise en scène, and I was the watcher in the cameo, clutching an earthenware amphora, and with my long linen shift flapping in the warm desert wind. I exhaled and blinked to regain my focus. I assured myself I certainly was compos mentis. Standing at the door, in very ordinary pyjamas and grimy rubber boots, despite the sensation of hot sand and cool sandals, I knew and felt an all-pervading sense of majesty of occasion. More than imagination, was it déjà vu? I knew that somehow, courtesy of an old Afghan and a young camel, I had been touched by the magic of the very first Christmas. I hugged to myself the whisper of the warm desert wind and started to hum that lilting carol I'd learned on Christmas Eve.